What's up, everybody? I'm Lawyer Vince, and welcome back to How to Convince. Today, we're talking about the person who always plays victim. You know exactly who I mean. You bring up a simple issue, and somehow you're suddenly the bad guy. You set a boundary, and they act wounded, like you've just attacked them. If you don't know how to handle it, you end up over explaining, over apologizing, or giving in. And none of those earn you respect. Here's the truth. Playing victim isn't just complaining, it's a tactic. Whether they realize it or not, it's designed to shift responsibility off of them and onto you. The good news is there's a system to break the cycle. Today, I'm going to give you the exact 3 steps you can use when someone goes into victim mode. Then I'll walk you through real-world examples, advanced tactics, and finish with a Q&A from my newsletter audience. If you're new here, hit subscribe, drop a like, and join a newsletter with the link in the description. That's where you can send me your questions and be featured in the Q&A at the end of every episode. Let's dive in. Victim mode is more than just venting. Everybody complains now and then, and that's normal. But when someone lives in victim mode, it becomes a strategy, a way of navigating the world where they avoid responsibility by casting themselves as powerless and casting someone else as the villain. And if you're not careful, that villain becomes you. So let's break down the drivers behind this behavior. Because once you see the why, their moves stop feeling personal. Driver number 1, avoiding accountability. For some people, taking responsibility feels like danger. Owning a mistake means risking rejection, losing status, or feeling shame. So instead of facing that discomfort, they shift the blame to someone else, right? Think about a coworker who misses a deadline and immediately says, well, nobody gave me the right resources. That's victim mode, protecting their ego from the sting of accountability. Driver 2, control through guilt. This is a manipulation tactic, whether conscious or not. The thinking goes, if I can make you feel guilty, I don't have to change. You will change instead. For example, a friend says, if you really cared, you'd answer my text right away. Notice how the frame is your care is proven by your compliance. That's not love, that's leverage. And guilt is a powerful lever, unless you can spot it and name it. Driver 3, learned helplessness. This comes from environment. Maybe they grew up in a family where the one who cried loudest got rescued, or the one who collapsed got the most attention. Helplessness became a tool for survival. Fast forward to adulthood, and they're still using the same move. It's not always malicious, it's a habit, but the effect is the same. They cast themselves as powerless, so you'll step in and carry the weight. Driver 4, low tolerance for discomfort. Some people were never taught how to handle conflict or feedback. So when you say, hey, I need you to communicate better, they hear you're a terrible person. They can't separate critique of a behavior from critique of their identity. Instead of owning it, they crumble into saying, I guess nothing I do is ever good enough. Suddenly, you're on the back foot, reassuring them instead of holding the line. Here's a trap. When someone plays victim, your instinct is to defend. You say, that's not what I meant. I wasn't attacking you. I'm just saying, ... And the moment you start defending, you're already stuck inside their story. The conversation is no longer about the issue. It's about convincing them you're not a monster. That's how you lose ground. The fix is not defense. It's definition. Define the issue clearly. Redirect the responsibility back to them. Hold your boundary with calm, steady words. Now that we understand why people fall into victim mode, let's talk about how you break the cycle. This is a system I shared in one of my Instagram reels, and it hit home for a lot of the followers because it's simple, practical, and repeatable. 3 steps. Step 1, acknowledge without fueling. When someone is in victim mode, the worst thing you can do is dismiss their feelings. That just escalates it. But the second worst thing you can do is feed into their story. The middle path is acknowledgement without oxygen. Say, I hear that this has been tough for you. You're recognizing the emotion, not the narrative. And you're saying, I see your frustration. But you're not saying, I agree with your version of events. That distinction matters because acknowledgement lowers their defensiveness, but agreement would trap you in their blame cycle. Think of this like nodding when someone's bending. The nod means, I hear you, not I agree with everything you're saying. Step two, redirect to responsibility. Once they feel heard, you pivot. Victim mode thrives in helplessness. The way out is responsibility. Say, what do you think would help fix it? This does two things at once. It forces them to step out of the helpless role and into problem solving, and it puts the ball back in their court. You're no longer carrying the emotional weight of their problem. You're handing it back with a gentle but firm invitation to take ownership. If they shrug or say, I don't know, don't rescue them. Offer two clear options and let them pick. Okay, we could try A or B. Which feels better to you? Choice equals agency. Agency breaks the victim loop. Step three, set your boundary. Sometimes acknowledgement and redirection work, and the cycle ends there. But if they keep circling back to blame, you need to draw a clear line. I want you to say, I want to support you, but I can't if it's only about blame. Let's focus on what's in your control. Notice the balance. You lead with support. I want to support you. That keeps it empathetic, but you follow with clarity. You say, I can't if it's only about blame. That keeps it firm. You're making the conditions of engagement clear. We can talk, but the conversation must live in the space of responsibility and solutions. And here's why this step matters. If you don't set a boundary, you slide into enabling. You end up reinforcing the behavior you want to end. Boundaries are punishments. They're conditions for healthy interaction. When you run these three steps, acknowledge, redirect, boundary, you stay calm. They feel heard and the responsibility stays where it belongs. Think of it like emotional aikido. Instead of absorbing their energy or fighting it head on, you redirect it so the weight lands back where it should. Now, let's map the three-step system onto the real life moves you're going to see. Because victim mode doesn't show up in one form. It wears different masks. If you can recognize the move, you won't get pulled into the trap. The first one, move number one, the guilt hook. When they say, if you really cared, you do this for me. This is the classic emotional lever. They frame compliance as proof of your loyalty, love, or care. If you say, no, you're heartless. If you say, yes, they win. Your response, I hear this is heavy. I don't make decisions by guilt. I make them by priorities. Let's talk about what's in your control. Why this works? You acknowledge their stress, but you strip guilt of its power by naming your real decision-making standard, priorities, not pressure. Move to the helpless spiral. When they say, nothing works, everyone is against me. This is where the victim paints themselves as powerless. It's a way to dodge responsibility while also fishing for rescue. Your response, you say, what do you think would help fix it? Two options are A or B. Which one do you want? Why this works. You refuse to carry them, but you don't leave them stranded. By offering two choices, you guide them back toward agency. Even if they pick the smaller step, they've broken out of the spiral at that point. Move three, the history dump. Have you ever heard someone say, you always do this? Remember last year when, right, they bring back the past? This move shifts focus from the present issue to an endless reel of old grievances. Suddenly, you're not talking about a missed deadline. You're rehashing by use a drum. Your response, I want you to say, I want to stay helpful. Today, we're talking about this week's deadline. What's in your control right now? Why this works? You cut off the time machine. You don't take the bait of litigating the past. You anchor the conversation to one issue, one time frame, and one solution. Move number four, the hurt shield. This is when they say, wow, I can't believe you'd say that to me. This is a deflection. They frame your feedback as an attack so you feel guilty and backpedal. Your response here, you say, I hear this is hard to hear. The request is the same, let's talk next steps. Why this works? You don't get tricked into defending your tone or intent. You acknowledge the sting, then calmly keep the focus on the request. Move number 5, the reputation flip. This is when they say, you're making me look bad. This one turns the spotlight away from the issue and onto appearances. The goal is to make you feel responsible for their reputation. This is what you say. What helps fix it on your side is meeting the standard. That means X by Friday. Do you want option A or option B? Why this works? You don't get stuck arguing about perception. You ground the conversation in standards and results. You also hand the choice back to them, making it clear their reputation is in their own control. The pattern is simple. Acknowledge, redirect, boundary. Once you recognize the move, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. Let's bring this down from theory into real life, because the real test of communication skills isn't in knowing the phrases, is in having the courage to use them when it counts, right? So the first story is when one of my clients, he was a senior coordinator at a marketing agency. Every time a project went sideways, his coworker would shift the blame. He'd say, I didn't get the assets on time. The client was unclear. IT dropped the ball. Every debrief turned into a blame circle, and the team wasted hours pointing fingers instead of fixing processes. Here's what we did. We practiced step 2, redirect to responsibility. I told him, you don't have to fight his story. Just redirect him to action. After the next debrief, he followed up with an email. He said, thanks for sharing. This has been tough. What will help fix it is confirming owners and due dates. What part is yours to handle? Notice the structure. Acknowledgement without oxygen. Redirection to action. Clear ownership. Within 3 weeks, the tone of debriefs shifted. Instead of dumping blame, people started preparing with solutions. Deadlines improved. The team victim didn't transform overnight, but the system stopped rewarding his behavior. The second story is when another client came to me exhausted from weekly guilt trips from her parents. Every Saturday, she'd get the same lie. If you love me, you'd visit every weekend. And every time she'd end up canceling plans for driving across town out of guilt. Here's how we handled it using all 3 steps. Step 1, acknowledge without fueling. I hear this matters to you. Step 2, redirect to responsibility. What would help fix it is a plan we both can keep. Step 3, set the boundary. I can't do weekly, but I can call every Sunday and visit the first Saturday each month. The first couple of weeks, the parents pushed back, but my client didn't budge. She repeated the boundary calmly, like a broken record. By the 3rd week, the guilt trip stopped. And here's the powerful part. The relationship actually got better because clear expectations replaced resentment and dread. The takeaway here is that boundaries don't harm relationships, they protect them. Sometimes the 3-step system isn't enough. Some people are deeply invested in victimhood, and the cycle keeps looping. That's when you need advanced tactics. These aren't tricks. They're structures that keep you steady and move the conversation forward. Tactic number 1, receipts over reassurance. The victim mindset wants you to reassure. Say, I didn't mean that. I'm not against you. I'm on your side. But reassurance never ends. Instead, anchor in receipts. Say, here's what happened. Here's the impact. Here's the next step. This removes opinion and focuses on facts. Facts are hard to argue with, and they shift the energy from feelings to actions. Tactic number 2, the broken record. Victim players are persistent. They'll circle back to the same complaint hoping you'll bend. The broken record technique is your shield. Pick one clear boundary sentence and repeat it. Same words, same tone, no more than twice. For example, I want to support you, but I can't if it's only about blame. Let's focus on what's in your control. They push again, repeat it once more, then stop. Silence is part of the boundary. Tactic number 3, the mirror question. This flips the spotlight. Instead of defending yourself, you hand the reflection back. You say, what would taking responsibility look like on your side? then pause. Don't fill the silence. That silence forces them to consider their role. Even if they dodge, you've planted the seed. Tactic number 4, the escalation clause. Sometimes the cycle won't break without structure. That's when you add stakes. Say, if this continues, we'll need a third party involved. I'd rather solve it here. This makes it clear you're not going to battle endlessly. You're willing to escalate to HR, mediation, or a neutral witness if necessary. Most people will shift once they realize the game has limits. The key across all 4 of these tactics is calm consistency. Not louder, not harsher, just steady. That's what breaks the victim cycle. Not fighting fire with fire, but refusing to hand them fuel. All right, now let's get into your questions. The Q&A at the end of every episode. This is my favorite part. The first question is, can you suggest a less aggressive way to say put up or shut up? Absolutely. Try this. Say, if you're serious, let's see some action. If not, let's move on. It's clear, direct, but it's not a slap to the face. Question number 2. Do you have a book? If not, what books do you recommend? My book is in the works. I'm actually writing it right now, so stay tuned. I can't wait to share all of the news about it. I've been keeping it under wraps, but it's coming. In the meantime, I recommend a couple different books. One that I recently read was Cues by Vanessa Van Edwards. Great book because it shows how your body language, your tone, even your pauses can strengthen or weaken your words. When your delivery matches your message, people listen. Question 3. How can we manage a boss who keeps showing prejudice against someone even though they deliver results? This is tough because you're dealing with bias, not just performance. The way to set a boundary here is to anchor everything in facts and metrics. I like to keep this conversation grounded in performance metrics. Can we evaluate based on results, not assumptions? Or use the results reset and can say, what matters most is the value being delivered. Let's align on the measurable goals and how they've been met. If prejudice continues despite clear results, that's no longer just a communication issue. It's an HR or legal issue. All right. Question number 4. How do you respond to micromanaging without being disrespectful? Like, micromanagement is frustrating because you push back too hard and you look defensive. But if you say nothing, you feel suffocated. So here's the line. I appreciate your oversight. To be efficient, can we set one check-in time daily instead of constant updates? Or another option is, I want to deliver my best work. To do that, I need space to complete the task. Can we agree on a review at, say, a specific time? And if you need a softer entry, you can say something like, I know you care about the details. How about I give you a daily update email so you're in the loop, but I can still focus during the day? The key is mixing respect with structure. Don't just say, stop micromanaging. Offer a system that makes their life easier too. All right, now question 5. What if someone keeps ignoring my boundary even after I've repeated it? Boundaries mean nothing without action. At some point, you have to enforce it. Say, since we're not aligned, I'll need to step back from this project. Follow through makes the boundary real. Here's your challenge for the week. Write your step 1, step 2, and step 3 lines on a note card. Use them once in a low-stakes conversation. Notice how much calmer you feel when you don't fuel the story, you redirect to responsibility, and you hold your boundary. If this episode helped you, subscribe, like the video, and join the newsletter. Drop a comment that says, no guilt, clear boundaries, so I know you made it to the end. And if you want personalized coaching, I offer one-on-one sessions where we role play your toughest conversations until calm becomes your default. Spots are limited, so check the link below. This has been How to Convince with Lawyer Vince. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you same time next week.